Hello everyone, it's Tilly from Tilly Journals and welcome back to my channel and to another plan with me, this time for the week of the 15th to the 21st of January in my A5 wide Tilly Journals inserts. I am using a kit from Plannerface called, I think it's called Rainstorm, I'm so bad at names of kits. It is really not good. I do PR for Plannerface, so you can get a discount by using Tilly10 to no, just Tilly, that's a lie. Tilly to save 10% and to get an extra freebie. I'm using Purple Sparkle foil from Scribble Prints Co. as the foil bundle, paired with rain underlays from my shop in silver, which I've tried to layer the purple over the rain underlays. These are not yet out in my shop, but they will be when I reopen probably. I don't know. I still haven't worked out my deal with reopening, but I'm about to get back to real work, so as in my day job, being a doctor, for those of you that don't know. So yeah, I don't know when the shop's going to come in, but hopefully in the next couple of months. Anyhow, that is kind of what I'm using. And the kit, I've also pulled in an extra little doodle sheet from an old Plannerface, not mystery, that's not the word. The word is Advent. And I think that's everything I used in the base. Oh, I pull in some Scribble Prints Co. hole protectors. Yeah, I decided this week not to use 2 boxes in the sidebar because I had 5 books, and you know, that didn't seem like the best plan ever, just because of trying to fit 5 books in. I thought the books were going to end up being tiny, but then I ended up with far too much space, so I had to pull in a bit of washi to the sidebar, and I don't love it, but it's fine. I have a few of the early scripts from the previous cut lot, but most of the scripts are not going to go down this week. But without any further ado, I'm going to get into what I read this week. The last video where oh no, that's not quite true. I'm going to give you a quick little life update. It is like the 25th of January when I'm filming this, and I had my work meeting yesterday about going back and stuff, and I am fairly certain by the time you see this video I will be back at work on my phased return. My current sick note runs out on the 2nd of February, which is a Friday, so I'm suspecting I will be starting back the week commencing the 5th of February, so that's kind of the plan. Yeah, I'm apprehensive, but I think it is the right time. I have mentioned this in a couple of videos, but I just wanted to confirm that I'm pretty definitely going back then now. Yeah. So I'll talk about my scary work meeting in the next plan with me because that's when it happened. It was on the Tuesday of the next week, the 20th. No, it wasn't. It was on the Wednesday, 24th. Yesterday when I'm recording this voiceover. Anyhow, before I, run out of time to talk about the books I read this week, I better get into it. There is still loads of base left to get down, but I did read 5 books this week, so we gotta get into it. So the first book I read was Their Frozen Graves, which is by Ruddy Chowdhury. This is actually the second book in a detective series, so it's the Detective Mackenzie Price series, and it's the second book, but I haven't read the first book. I actually read this because of Buzzwordathon. The word for January was there, or there, and so Their Frozen Graves worked for me. I ended up giving this 4 stars. So essentially it's a mystery novel. I think it classes itself as a mystery thriller, but I think it's just more of a mystery. So essentially the detective, who is called Mackenzie, but Mac generally, is investigating a case of 2 lookalikes that were murdered together. So they were next to each other, the bodies. They were found in a frozen lake. They look like a local influencer, celebrity kind of person, but when they go to speak to the husband to see if she's missing or anything, or to tell her and that they think they found her body, the person is there. So that is Katie. Katie is not dead. She is clearly alive when they go to try and tell her father, her dad, her husband, jeez, words, and they find out she's pregnant. So yeah, and one of the bodies is pregnant. So it's all very confusing, and essentially follows the path of who done it, basically. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good premise. I thought the mystery was well followed through, and the elements of like what happened and things were guessable with enough knowledge, but also there was enough twists and turns that you were surprised by the ending. There was also lots going on in Mac's life. This is probably a spoiler for the first book, but her husband has cheated on her, and they're sort of managing that, along with her dad, who she believed was dead, turning up at her house, which I think was, a good twist as well. And there was a lot about that sort of side of things. So it dealt with a lot of things, and I really actually enjoyed it. I will definitely be trying the other books in that series. I read 5 books this week, so I better get a skate on. The second book was my first non-fiction book of the year, and I listened to this on an audiobook. Their Frozen Graves I read on Kindle. Was The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. I thought this would be a great read for me at the moment, because I definitely care too much about far too many things, and I thought it would be like a good self-help book for the moment. However, it completely missed the mark for me, in a lot of ways, not even just a little bit, in a lot of ways. It shouldn't be titled The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, because that's not what it's actually about. It's the subtle art of giving a fuck about the right things. So yeah. And there's quite a lot about how things are going to be shit in life, and you just have to accept what shit you're gonna that you want to deal with. And I get that, and I get quite a lot of the things he talks about in the premise, but there was a lot of things that I also really didn't enjoy about it. He kind of says that you have control. That's not even what he says, it's responsibility. That's the phrase he uses. He calls it responsibility, and it just, says you've got responsibility about things that you clearly don't have responsibility over, and I found it quite grating at times. I think that I don't even know how to. He's trying to say you have control over things, and there's definitely things you do not have control over in your life. He also mentions some brain chemistry, mental illness stuff, and it rubs me really the wrong way, especially given how my last year has gone. So I don't really know what to think. I wanted to score this lower than I actually did, and the reason it ended up with 2 stars from me was because it actually made me laugh, and it was quite funny at times. I really enjoyed the humour side of it, so there's that going for it. I don't think I'd recommend it, but if you, I don't know, other people definitely feel differently, because it's got a lot higher reviews on that on average. It's got 3.5 stars on average, so clearly just kind of a me problem, at least partially. Anyhow, moving on to the next book. So this is a middle grade, that's what it's called, and it's called The Other Side of the Truth by Beverly Nadeau, and this is about I can't think how to say her name. There's literally a description at the front of the book of how to pronounce it, because it's kind of an element later in the book, but I think it's spelled Sade, Sade or Sadie, but it's got an H sound in it. I can't quite remember exactly how it is, so I'm not going to try it, but it's about Sade, I think it is, and Femi, who are 2 kids who essentially their father is a reporter in Nigeria, and reports the truth of what's happening, and the government obviously do not like that, and there is an attempt on his life, but unfortunately his wife is killed today, so the kid's parent, mum. So Sade and Femi go on a trip across to England with a woman, so they pretend to be her kids to essentially seek asylum in the UK, and it's about their journey once they get to the UK, and things like that. This is a very heavy middle grade. There is a lot about obviously the premise is even quite heavy. There's a lot about death and dying, and a lot about grief. There's parts of the care system and asylum seeking, and all sorts of things like that. There's quite a lot about it, and it is a hard read at times, but I think it's so worth reading as an adult or a middle grade or whatever age you are. I think this is worth reading. Like, it's incredibly complex issues about asylum. I think that the ending is really fitting. I don't want to say too much, but some books tie things up too nicely, and I don't like that. And I think this is the sort of thing that shouldn't be tied up too nicely, because it's not. But it's tied up in a way that works for the book and works for the issues raised. So yeah, would highly recommend. Definitely give it a read. I gave it 4 stars, but I think I would really recommend. The next book that I read was called The White and Blue Betweeners, and this was from NetGalley, so I got this as an ARC. It is a graphic novel that I read a digital edition of, and I'm going to be honest, I had quite a lot of problems with this. So essentially, it is a second chance MLM romance, but to be honest, right, I gave this 2 stars, and the reason I gave it 2 stars is because I freaking love the art in it. I think the art is really stunning, and that kind of saved it for me. And there was also a bonus chapter at the end, which was my favourite part. But a lot of the rest of it it's a translation, and a lot of it didn't translate very well, I don't think. It doesn't, it's very confusing at times. The story doesn't seem to follow on. It's also written, at least in the version I had, from right to left of the page rather than left to right, and it took me a little while to work that out. Seemed to jump around a lot, and there was no real flow, and because I was so confused by it, I wasn't really attached to the characters, so I didn't really care what happened. But the bonus chapter made me a bit more attached to them, so those 2 things were kind of its saving grace for me. But yeah, there's also a really random, I think, sex scene, really suddenly out of the blue. I was like, have I missed a page? And I was just really baffled by it. And I don't know, if you like looking at graphic novels for art, not story, have a look at it. Otherwise, I wouldn't really bother. Maybe just read the bonus chapter, because the bonus chapter is really cute. Next, and last but not least, is an audiobook from NetGalley, which was called The Fake Dating Game, and this was a better read. So essentially the premise of this is that Holden is just been broken up with by his long-term boyfriend that he lives in. This is another LGBT MLM romance, and this has a lot of spice, and yeah. So Holden has just been broken up with by his long-term boyfriend, and he wants to go and audition for a game show because it was his and his late mother's favourite TV show, and they he wanted to be on it, and he'd always promised his mum that he would win it one day. There he meets Leo Min, who is a concierge at the hotel that he is working at, but unfortunately loses his job. So they decide to audition for the show together, because Leo needs the money now he's been fired from his job, and Holden obviously wants to be on it for his mum. There is clearly a lot of chemistry between them, and so they decide to fake date to audition because they think they're more likely to get on like that. The fake dating here didn't hit me up the wrong way, but I'm not really sure I could class it as fake dating, because, you know, they are sleeping together through it and they clearly have feelings for each other. They're lying about the extent of their relationship, but it's not really fake dating. So I just think the name isn't quite right for this book, especially because the show elements don't really start till about halfway through it. And it skips out some major parts of the game show part, and I think that kind of made it miss the mark a little bit for me because the name was wrong, but I did still really enjoy this. The spice was 10 out of 10. there is a little bit of dom sub thrown in, and yeah, it's throughout the book. There is a lot about grief, exploring relationships, loss and heartbreak, and it's quite heavy at times. And I actually really loved how this ended. We all know there is third act drama in romances, and I actually think the way the third act drama was resolved was much healthier than a lot of romance books. So I really enjoyed that. The narration was great. I really liked both Leo and Holden. I thought they both had their character flaws, but that is people, and I really like that. And I really liked the elements about grief as well. For those of you that don't know, I lost my grandma like 16 months ago, and we were very close, so I've struggled with that quite a lot. So I quite like there being a bit of grief in books. So yeah, it's a heavier romance, but it is a good read, and I would really recommend it. I gave it 3.5 stars, which is I enjoyed this. I kind of recommend it, but there were problems with it, and I've already gone over that. It's mostly that it wasn't quite what I was expecting. I think if I'd gone in expecting something else, I'd have enjoyed it more. Anyway, that is it for my books, so I am going to get straight into the day by day because I'm pretty much there in the video anyway. So on to Monday. I started off the day with doing some revision, and then I edited a video. I then went off to work to meet with my line manager at work. It was only the second time I'd been in the building since being off work last March, and it was mostly to see how I felt being there as like not an employee but as an employee, because I'd been for a gynecology appointment end of last year. Nothing serious, it's all fine. But yeah, I met with my line manager in the cafe, which is a Costa at my hospital, and we just had a chat for a little while, and it was really lovely. So yeah, nice casual chat. Then we had our new cleaner start this day, so my mum actually met with the new cleaner at our house because she's organised it, and B, I was at this meeting. It wasn't really a meeting, meeting's the wrong word, chat with my line manager. But yeah, new cleaner is good. Our old cleaner unfortunately had to leave due to family circumstances, and we were keen to find someone quite quickly because A, I'm going back to work, and B, our cleaner had been off temporarily since about November, so we'd had like 2.5 months of our house not being properly cleaned. Like, we did little bits, but yeah, so it was we were like, need to find someone quickly, and she's really good, and I'm really pleased about that. Then I did some planning. I think I'm still trying to catch up at this point, but yeah, I'm now pretty much exactly up to date in both planners, which is exciting. And then this is when I signed up to NetGalley. I made an account and went through and requested a load of books, and started looking into things, debating what I was gonna request, and then I also, the next day, I actually set up lots of my profile and added more about me after reading some recommendations on what you should include, but I didn't mark that the next day because I had enough to mark. But yeah, anyway, then I went for a quick walk. I did some reading of their frozen graves. Then it was time for Rangers. They were making pizza from scratch, and we did some planning for both Rangers and Guides, me and the other leader. The other leader is my mum. I don't know whether I ever talk about this, but yeah, the other leader is my mum at Rangers, and she's one of the other leaders at Guides. So she obviously knows everything that's going on with me. So yeah, so that's that. And then I came home and watched some Parks and Rec. On to Tuesday, I started the day with some filming, and then I joined so there's something called, essentially it's about a supportive return to training, which is what I'm doing. So it's called Support, but it's about RRT at the end in capitals. And there was an avoiding stress and burnout course on this thing. Yeah, so I was in that. It was kind of helpful, but not really. Then I did a load of, so I had an order, somebody asked for some stickers on Instagram, and I'd agreed to do those for her, and I also made all my underlays and stuff for February. So that actually took me forever, to be honest, because I ended up designing a couple of foil bundles to use. So there's that. Then I went for a walk and did some reading. What was I reading? The Other Side of the Truth. So I must have finished Their Frozen Graves the day before. Then I was feeling quite down this day and a bit low. Then it was time for guides. We were doing patrol planning and games mostly, so yeah. And then watched some Parks and Rec. I better hurry up because there is not that much of this video left. On to Wednesday, I did some filming. I filmed a plan with me. Then we had some cuddles and I was reading The Other Side of the Truth. I really love like lying with my husband holding me and reading my book. It is literally my favourite thing to do at the moment. Then I did some studying. I'm basically doing some studying so I have my mind back in medicine a little bit. Then I did a load of my pre-employment work stuff and work forms, stick with my journal. Then it was time for group. I am doing a mind group. It's quite helpful. They thought it was just going to be me this day and we were going to like delay it, but it wasn't. Somebody else turned up, so that was fine. Then I did some resting. We had some sexy times as part of our date night, though we started the date night with sexy times, and then we went out for dinner, which was really lovely. We haven't been out for dinner together in this year yet, so that was nice. I know it's only like the first month, but yeah, we're trying to do like at least one day out the house every so often, and then finished the day with some snuggles. On to Thursday, started the day with some revision, read and finished I think The Other Side of the Truth, recorded a voiceover. Then I had my OT appointment and we went to the supermarket, so that was fine. I started watching this Love Island All Stars, which I'm really enjoying. I'm quite behind though at this point, but I will try and catch up over the next 2 days. Then I did some memory planning. I was in my feelings and I was messaging a pal about ADHD and stuff, so I just thought I'd mark that in because we were messaging quite a lot and it was kind of like my focus. I don't tend to mark messaging people very often, but yeah, we were chatting. On to Friday, I was in my feelings and not having a great day. I sent loads and loads of emails because I was just trying to get back on top of things for work and going back. I was sad because I was feeling a bit isolated from some friends. I sorted out my medication for the next couple of weeks and then I went to collect my car from its little, its big repair work. It was all body work really, but yeah, I was really happy with it. Then I read The White and Blue Between Us, the whole graphic novel, did some filming of a haul, went for a walk and worked on an assertiveness course thing my care co has recommended and we're going to be doing together at some point, but though she thinks we should probably focus on the perfectionism one first, though she thinks I do need to do both, lols. Let's not go there. Then I did some more Love Island watching and prepped some origami for guides the next week, except then we did change the plan and it wasn't the next week. Had a cry and some cuddles with my husband and watched some Parks and Rec. I need to speed up. On Saturday I did some editing and then guide admin, had a little bicker with my husband, but then we talked out and it was absolutely fine. I was reading The Au Pair, went for a walk, had lots of cuddles with my husband, did some revision, rested, and then we played Wingspan, which is a great game, highly recommend it. We've just like learning to play, so we're just like getting into the groove, then watched some Parks and Rec. And on to Sunday, I did some tidying, we did some revision, I drove into York, which was a big deal for me. I met with a friend called Hannah and we went for scones and it was really, really lovely to see her. I've not seen her in a while. We went for a walk around town, then came home and I was reading some of The Au Pair. I went to bake with my mum. We made a Swiss roll. Is that what I mean? No, Yule log, that's the word. Then we set up our new laptop because we'd been having bugs with our old one, so we got a new one to replace it and returned the old one because yeah, it shouldn't have been that buggy. Filmed my kit lineup, watched some Parks and Rec and planned the next week. So that is how the spread ended up. Look at all this sparkly. I love, love, love this purple sparkly foil. I am going to change the lights and show you that. It is really sparkly. You can see it there on the bottom washi, and I love how the silver is pulled in as well. And so that is pretty much it for this video. I'm going to show you the leftovers. Comment, like down below. Let me know what you thought of the books I read, and I'll see you next time. Bye!